Now let's get into the man that Nigerians seemingly cannot stop talking about for different reasons. Maybe it's because he gets us the views. Maybe it's because everybody is so invested in him because we love him so much, so we can't stop talking about him. But he's always in the news. This transfer saga is never ending. This is the longest transfer saga that I've seen for for any Nigerian player. Where for multiple windows, we don't know what is going to happen. We keep talking about it. We hear so many different things, and then this summer things have kind of even spiraled into other directions that we didn't necessarily think that they were going to spiral into. But Smilai, let me just quickly get your opinion because we were not here last week. We heard that Victor Osimhen officially rejected Al Hilal. And then since that time, there have been so many different conversations again. Quick one. Do you think it was a good decision for him to reject Al Hilal?
Yeah. Why rush him? Why rush him for the Club World Cup? So go and sign contract, take him to the Club World Cup, then we now regret at the Club World Cup that why can't he just wait slightly, And this is life. The guy just had a very good season in Ghana. I'm not sure, but I think he won the best player in the league. Maybe probably won the Golden Boot too for Galatasaray. He won the league with them and also the cup double. Come on, it's not as if he just came from a relegation club or he had a very bad season. So the guy needs to relax himself. He needs to think about what he wants to do. So the issue of Al Ahly giving him ultimatum to accept or reject and things like that, and that is even disrespectful for him. Let the guy decide where he actually wants to go. So for me, I like the way he rejected it because you can't just rush him. He's a young man with family. So he should go to Al Ahly without consulting with his family and to go and took them somewhere and be doing that job Mikel will be going flying, from China or our Skipo. Tomorrow is in Saudi, the next day is in London. You want planning. You want to plan. You're a family man. So for me, I'm happy to get it. And secondly, now, as I'm talking to you now, somebody just sends me a message that David Nunes is Napoli are negotiating with David Nunes, which might actually have implication on the Victor Osimhen's future. Is it okay? So, there's a lot of twists and turns to this. For me, I'm happy to get it. Money is not everything.
Okay, so, money is not everything. And this money situation has sparked so many conversations on social media. Some people think Osimhen should reduce his wages. Some people think he should not reduce his wages. Some people think he should renegotiate in a different way. And one of our sports journalists, media personalities in Nigeria, spoke on his channel about this whole Osimhen situation. And his comments raised a lot of criticism. Some people supported him. Some people were insulting him. He made a number of comments that I want us to touch on today. But let us start with the one about Osimhen's wage situation. In case anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about Elegebete. He spoke for about 20 minutes on Osimhen's situation. So I'm going to play a clip for you, and then we'll talk about what he says in the clip.
Also point out something that people are overlooking. He's 27. If you sign him on a 5 years contract, based on what is currently existing in the business of football, 5 years from now, he will be 32. There's no resale value for him. And then if you look at what he's asking, 400,000 a week gross. If you put it in a 5 years contract plus bonus and everything, the total package, the transfer fee to Napoli with between 75 and 80 million. Everything put together would arrive at 400 million. Is Osimhen worth 400 million in a 5 years deal right now? That's really the question to ask. When somebody tell me that, but look at what Mo Salah is earning. When did they sign Mo Salah? About 10 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. When they signed him, when they first signed Mo Salah, he was earning 70,000. Now he's grown up to this. There's no transfer fee, no big bonuses, everything arrive here. But you're going to pay all this ones and put bonuses, and in a 5 years time, you put 300 million. Let's look at clubs where those kind of deals have destroyed. One was Manchester United. They were beginning to regroup. They made the mistake of signing Alexis Sanchez and gave him that contract of £500,000 a week. And every other person who's playing, who just won the Europa with them, like this guy that came from Arsenal because they won the FA Cup, that's how they destroyed that team. And then they had to rebuild again. They're still rebuilding till now.
Okay. So, Smilai, he spoke about a few things. But I want us to touch it little by little. So the first question that he asked is Osimhen worth 400 million? I will just say his calculation was a little bit off. It
You
will
need to
come
go and
to
dig deeper.
about
Why?
it will come to about 300 million based on okay transfer fees, salaries, everything. He used estimating a 5-year contract. So I'll switch the question and say me like on a 5-year deal, do you think Victor Osimhen is worth 300 million?
See, it depends on the negotiation. You know, those for one, yeah, I referenced him for issue of debates
Also
or
point out
conversation,
something that people
issue of debate or conversation. But for me, I don't like to take him that serious. In my own opinion, I think one calculation, he got it wrong. I don't think it's 400. It's between like 300 million or so. But in that you mentioned asked the question about 5 years. So the issue is this, I don't think a club will give him 5 years directly. Now, I think they might want to give him four, 4 or 3. I don't think so. But it's also about negotiation. There's some few things you negotiate. It's not everything about wage. I don't think you are into branding, you are into all these things. There's some things that you put in your clause, in your contract, that can even open financial doors, for you. That is going to be like a trade-off, though you are getting less wage, but in some areas, the whole thing don't balance up together. You know, I know about that, but I don't know who's negotiating for Victor. So about Victor's words, let me tell you something. Victor will guarantee you goals. See, a prophet does not have prestige in his homeland. That's why most of the opposition that Victor gets is from his home. Someone like Rovena, someone like Wayne Rooney, someone like people are big ups on Mikel, also big ups on what on Osimhen. That clubs should go for him. So for me, I think is what the amount he thinks is demanding. So it's those that are the Shobolo case that the one that thinks that it's not worth because nobody boy way self pay water. You know what time? No. Victor will guarantee you goals. Okay, how many goals is Jackson giving you? How many goals is some? We have to just look at it very well. In a very structured team, Victor will give you goals. So for me, and goals is what win games and your team. Goals is what win games. If you don't score goals, you don't win games. And Victor will score goals for you. So in my opinion, I think it's worth it. I
Hmm.
think it's worth it.
Okay. Another thing that he spoke about was ruining the dressing room.
Mm-hmm.
In the implication that if you bring Victor Osimhen in on a high salary, then other players will start to look at that and believe that they have been there longer. They are also quality players. They also deserve these high salaries. Do you agree with that sentiment that Victor coming in at 350 something, a week can ruin the locker room of the team that he's joining?
It depends on the team. If someone like Victor is coming to Man U, we could be minor with thinking that I want to be getting the same amount like Victor. It depends on the way you put. There's the way you plan all these things that you don't make it so obvious that Victor is way ahead of them. And it depends on what you also bring on the pitch. So for me, it depends on you have to make sure that Victor land on like a soft ground. Oh, Victor is coming this and you explain to them. It's not as if a player just put a player on there and the players don't know exactly what is going on, what happens, things just change. Like when they brought in this guy, look the Frank the Young, on a big salary there.
Hmm.
So for me, I just think that it can ruin the dressing room. Don't quote me in this thing, but I think that if the dressing room will get ruined, I think the coach must be able to do something to avoid that, and the management, in my own opinion. Yeah.
No, I think I would agree with what you're saying. It can definitely affect the dressing room.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
something that we cannot deny.
Mm-hmm.
These players, as much as they are celebrities, they are human beings at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I remember my former workplace. I remember when I was working the job, I knew how much everybody in the company was making because of my role in the company.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one time they hired one person, and I saw how much they paid the person, and immediately I said, "Eh, this person is reporting to me.
Mm-hmm.
How can they be collecting more money than me?"
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I know that in a football team, in terms of players, the hierarchy doesn't work the same way. But immediately they hired this person, and I said, "How can somebody that is reporting to me He's collecting more money than me. Within 2 weeks, I went to my Oga and I said, guy, you need to increase my salary. And this is like, I was not thinking about increasing my salary before. I was fine with the salary. But the moment I saw that they hired somebody that was earning more than me and was in a junior position, I went and I said, I need an increase. So they are human beings at the end of the day. If he joins a team like a Chelsea, for example, and they put Victor on 3 something, there is nothing that is stopping a Cole Palmer and saying, I single-handedly kept this club afloat for the past 2 years. I've not even seen up to this. And this boy is just coming new. You are not even sure if he's going to ball up to me, and you're giving him this. So I understand that. But like you also mentioned, me, like the club needs to find a soft landing for him. They need to find a way to make sure that everybody is pleased. And I think that Victor, I know that a lot of people don't like to hear this, but Victor himself needs to understand the situation of most clubs right now. I think, honestly, we keep hearing that these Premier League clubs cannot afford to pay that, cannot afford to pay that. Even the biggest one cannot afford to pay that. With all the FFP, PSR, and all these other financial rules that are now in place, nobody wants to give him that kind of salary up front. For example, we look at a club like Manchester United. We know that now that they are missing out on the Champions League, many of their players are going to get pay cuts this summer because it's in their contract. Is Osimhen willing to accept a contract like that? So, okay, if performance doesn't match up to what we're expecting, then we're going to slash 30%. Things like that. Okay, we're expecting you are coming with the promise of scoring 20-25 goals. If you don't hit these numbers, would you be willing to take a pay cut? If you exceed these numbers, we'll be able to give you a rise. All those kinds of negotiations are things that, based on what is in the media, I know that I'm not in the negotiation room. It just is being presented to us as if Victor is being strong-headed about it and is not willing to negotiate these different clauses and these different terms, which I hope that he is, because ultimately these are things that would help, for it to go smoother and for him to be able to get a transfer. But Elegebete said more. So let's get into another part of what he spoke about. And Smilai, when you were talking, you mentioned the fact of branding and negotiating a lot of other things into the contract. And this was
point out something that
this was part of what was spoken about on this Elegebete's show. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Osimhen, I repeat, it's not a bad player, but Osimhen is also not the superstar that a lot of people think he is. That's just the truth. If we want to spread this conversation and be as objective as we can, every European, and I was having this, I'm not going to mention his name now, his name is going to be withheld in this conversation. I was having a conversation with a very popular former player, and he said to me that, listen, I'm a Nigerian like you, my brother. Every European in the corridors where I walk, and he walks with the big heads, says that, what is the guarantee that Osimhen is 27? What is the guarantee that this is not his last rodeo? Who's going to give him a 5 years when probably he's 30, 32 in his real age? And then he comes in and then he's like another Eden Hazard that Real Madrid signed. Who's going to bear the burden of all of that? If you give him a 5 years contract and he's not performing, you can't terminate. You want to terminate, you give him the full sum of his contract. And then he comes from a country where there's not much disposable income. I think I was having that conversation with Colin Udo. There's not much. How many Nigerians will buy Osimhen merchandise in Nigeria? Will order? I'm not talking of knockdown, the one from Thailand or Timo. I'm talking from the club store. How many? Adidas, Nike is our national team sponsor. They don't sell our jersey in Nigeria because they know nobody will buy. So all of this at the business side, you also have to consider. When you put all that together, you know. But like I say, the window is still long. If he's bold enough to turn that Alila, it means that there are conversations that are going on that we don't know about. So I'm not going to knock him off completely, but I think that if I run his brand, that's what I would do. Bring down the gross to like 300, right? And then figure out a way to put incentive bees that are high enough to compensate for it.
So again, he said a couple things here. The one that sparked the most outrage from people on social media, he said Osimhen is not the superstar that we think he is. Do you agree with that statement?
And that is one. That's why people say he's very bitter. And I won't lie to you. I don't want to use any insulting word on it, but he's appeared in your show several times, and on live, and he's a good friend of the house too. But for me, I think these are like not bad. These are bad things to come out from Elegebete. It's a guy that in his formative years, you interviewed him, respect you so much. I know that it's your opinion, but for me, I just think that if he doesn't rate Victor Osimhen, I say it here. I don't know where they bought Elegebete. Victor Osimhen is one of the best striker in the history of Nigeria.
No, but Smilai, let me just pause you there. He is not, when he's talking about that, he's not talking about Osimhen's ability on the field. He's talking about superstardom, not how good a player he is.
Yeah.
Because that's why he was talking about branding, merchandising, all those things.
Yeah, but looking at how popular Victor Osimhen is even in Turkey, let me tell you something. Performance can even boost your brand and everything. You know that IoT. When fans adore, you can go to any length. He was talking about who will buy Osimhen jersey. I think I heard about that. Who will buy Osimhen jersey? I think he mentioned that.
Yeah, he mentioned that.
So, do you know how many Galatasaray jersey they sold? Making that jersey was sold in Turkey. Is he Temu? Is he Abakaliki? The body gets it from. So he should talk about his own thing. I'm just trying to say it in a way that don't say that. Don't say that. As bad as Jackson is, they're still selling Jack's jersey. So I'm just trying to say that it depends on performance can also increase all these things, IoT. If he probably maybe employ you work on his brand more, all these things, now full package. It's okay, now full package. If they sign Victor Osimhen in Man United today, I can tell you that his jersey will be one of the best selling jerseys alongside Bruno Fernandes. I'm telling you. So he should talk about what he knows. Though he claims that he's the one that knows Victor Osimhen, or maybe that he born Victor Osimhen. But we're also seeing that he is ability on the pitch, and even is popular. So for me, I think that it's a lie.
Okay. I think I have a fairly different view on this whole thing. When you say Victor Osimhen is not the superstar that we think or that he thinks he is, I think that's a very, very harsh statement to make about him. We don't know how big Victor Osimhen thinks he is or how much superstardom he thinks he has. But I'm trying to play devil's advocate, and maybe I see where he's coming from. So Osimhen will sell jerseys, no doubt about that, because he is that good.
And he will sell good amounts.
And he will sell a very good amount. And like you said, Smith, like if he keeps on scoring goals, he keeps on performing, more and more jerseys will be sold.
Even mask, everything.
Cole Palmer did not have a brand before he joined Chelsea.
Yes.
But he performed, and I can bet you, without seeing the numbers, that Cole Palmer is either number 1 or number 2 in terms of jerseys sold for Chelsea. I can bet you. And that is based on his performance. And with his performance came the celebration, came the whole brand, the whole Cold Palmer brand that he has now, and the whole aura that is around him. It came from performance. So no doubt, if Osimhen joins a team like Chelsea or Man U or Arsenal or City or whatever, and he performs, those things will come along with it. The club that he is playing for, as long as it is a big enough and smart enough club, they will know how to market him and how to monetize the things around him. When he goes to how many Nigerians buy Nigeria jersey, I don't think it is that relevant in terms of whichever club that Victor Osimhen joins. Because let's be honest with ourselves, Chelsea has 1 million fans in Nigeria, but Chelsea as a football club, they're not marketing to the Nigerian audience. Like they could care less about the Nigerian audience if they are being honest. Obviously, it is different when a team signs a player from like Korea. They know that yes, there are financial pluses that will come from signing the team like a player from Korea, because those ones they have more money to spend. Or if you sign a Chinese player, for example, what people know that they get when they sign a Nigerian player, they get a lot of online support. That's what they know. When they sign a Nigerian player, they get online support. You get a lot of fans from Nigeria. They're not really looking at Nigeria from the financial part. That, oh, if we sign a Nigerian player, we're going to benefit from people buying these things from Nigeria and things like that. So I think that the way he said it was a little bit harsh. But at the same time, I understand maybe the emotion that he has around the whole situation. And I think that it was something that was conveyed in one of the other things that he said later in his program, which I want us to touch on now. So I'll play one more video where I think he said something that, if I'm understanding him correctly, speaks more to what he was saying.
Osimhen, I repeat.
Sorry, let me just play the next video.
Now, if you look at Osimhen have always thrown people who's got his back under the bus. That's his story. That's a fact. Not be this. And then they cook this one up. He's arrested his own sister and their husband. Where's Ario? Where is Shira? Where is Coach Chinedu? Where is his first agent, his second agent? All the people. He's thrown people under the bus. Omar was once upon a time the voice of Osimhen, the guy who covers Osimhen from end to end, let everybody know what's going on the inside. Where's the relationship today? You think all the people are bad, only Osimhen be sent. So when I say these people jumping up for Osimhen, they will soon be thrown under the bus. I don't think that Osimhen will call these guys to say these things. But some of the people that are talking, it's like they don't even know what they are saying, or they don't even realize that some of the things that they are saying are destroying the player. Like Mikel Obi, for instance, that picked up a fight with Nicholas Jackson for no reason, just because he wants to sell Osimhen.
Yeah.
Ended up doing more damage to Osimhen because Chelsea priced him like pure water. And they stood by their Jackson. Now, Odumodu Black have come again. Odumodu Black should have studied the tide. Nike sponsors Nigeria. Give Nigeria the cheapest money that any brand is giving to any national team in the world. What make you think that same Nike would want to pick interest in a player that plays for Nigeria? My point is, what make you think this brand really wants you? Osimhen have 1.4 million followers on Twitter, which is a fantastic one. There is history of previous endorsement that is had that is not lived up to it. You see, the thing is, our players think that everybody should be worshiping them. If you're a journalist, you must worship them. You cannot talk about the bad that they've done. We've heard of deals that he did not meet up to. The thing about the business suit, the business circle, these guys meet in certain meetings. These guys meet in certain places, and they take decisions that affect all of us. These companies do not have interest here. And then the small companies that are set up here, Owu Sports, Zenith Sports, cannot even lace the shoes of this guy. So, Your first question you ask is, how many billboard have you seen Osimhen's face in Nigeria, his own home country? That's where I start from. When you go to Dubai, as much as you will see the face of Pep Guardiola is more like the Sheikh of Abu Dhabi, right, of UAE. But you will also see their local players endorsed by some local brand like Ima and the rest of them. How many Nigerian products is using Osimhen as their face? Before the model will call Barcelona out, call Nike, Adidas, Puma, and the rest. Let's first talk about home front. Yeah, how many Nigerian products have done business with?
Okay, so Smilai, before I come to you, so what I said, I think he was trying to convey more about the superstar of Osimhen. I think comes down to what he was saying about how many billboards, how many endorsements, how many of those things are you seeing with Osimhen? And I think the reality of it is that it's not nice for us to hear, but these are things that are pertinent to ask. I've been to several countries. I don't know what it's like now in Charles de Gaulle Airport, but I remember landing in France before and going to the airport and seeing Kylian Mbappe plastered around as some of their other stars. You land in Nigeria, you see Wizkid, you see Tiwa Savage, you see Davido. I saw some people on social media saying, well, the companies in Nigeria cannot afford Osimhen. That's not true. Let's be honest with ourselves. If they can sponsor Wizkid, Davido, Tiwa Savage, Burna Boy, or they can sponsor Victor Osimhen, let's just be realistic with ourselves. The reality of it is that if you are looking at it from that point of view, you might say, well, he doesn't have that superstar dust that some of these celebrities and some of these global stars have. When you talk about him with a Nike endorsement, I think Osimhen is an Adidas superstar or an Adidas athlete. He wears Adidas boots. Does Adidas treat him the same way they treat some of their other global talents? No, they do not. Now, is this down to Osimhen just simply not being a superstar? Maybe. But I think the more pertinent thing here is, what is Osimhen doing to grow and to really market the brand that he's creating for himself? And I think that is the part where I understand that Elegebete sounds very harsh, and it sounds like he's talking down on Osimhen a lot. But these are things that Osimhen has to think of, because the reality of it is that I've always said this thing: before you become a superstar abroad, you have to first of all be a superstar at home. If companies in Nigeria are not flocking for Victor Osimhen, it's going to be hard for companies abroad to flock for Victor Osimhen. Doesn't mean that you cannot get one or two interests, no, but I'm talking about flock. And when companies are flocking for you, that's when you become a superstar. As big as we like Osimhen from a football point of view, as big as we know he is, realistically, some of his numbers don't even match the skit makers that we talk about as if they are not serious sometimes, in terms of social media following, in terms of things like that. Brands work with these guys all the time. These guys sell products. These guys, people know that if they put money behind these people, they will get a bang for their buck. They will get a return on their investment. Osimhen, maybe there is no track record of those things happening. It does not mean that it is not possible for it to happen. I don't know, maybe Osimhen is getting deals and is the one saying, no, I don't want, no, I don't want, no, I'm not doing. But we're not seeing those things happen. And it is creating the impression that Osimhen's brand and Osimhen's star is not as large as it might be or as it should be. And for me, just from somebody that I work with athletes and I work with people on branding and I work with brands on trying to get athletes to work with them, I see the points there. And I think that Osimhen should do a better job of making his brand out there. Sometimes it is just the impression. Some of these celebrities will sign cheap deals just to give that illusion of being, endorsed, being sponsored, being marketed. Now, I'm not saying Osimhen should do that, but if we don't see you on billboards, like he said, if we don't see your posters, it doesn't create that visibility. It doesn't create that illusion of popularity. It doesn't create that illusion of fame. It doesn't create that illusion of star power. And this is something that I think was one of my core missions when I started the EaglesTracker and I started working with athletes on their brands. Nigerian athletes, Nigerian footballers need to be as visible as the musicians, as the actors, as the entertainers. They need to be plastered around Nigeria. They need to be respected and looked at the same way we look at these people. Some people are saying, oh, he's bitter. I'm not going to go as far as saying, oh, he's bitter. I don't know what might have happened or what might not have happened behind the scenes with him and Osimhen. But I'm just trying to look at the substance of some of the things that he's saying. While he is sounding very, very harsh and sounding very reckless with some of the things that he's saying, I think the underlying point about the brand, I think these are things that are true. And somebody here is saying again about the affordability. I would 100% disagree that Osimhen cannot be afforded. He can't be afforded. Let's be realistic. No matter how much you think Osimhen is going to cost for an endorsement, he doesn't cost as much as Davido. He doesn't cost as much as Wizkid. He doesn't have their star yet. Let's be realistic. These guys are well known around the world far more than Victor Osimhen. That's just the truth. So
Right.
I disagree on that affordability part. But Smith, like, let me not ramble on too much. Go ahead.
I just have to drink from a different cup.
Okay.
Uh, for me, I think Whiskey, Burna Boy, Davido, they're in a complete different profession compared to Victor Osimhen. That's why you see a boy. What's his name again? The boy that was in trouble. Is he? No, sorry. The boy that was once singing nonsense. I forgot his name. He used to. They are afraid. Portable beat him in a contest. I forgot his name. Sorry. Yeah. So,
I don't know what you're talking about.
well, I guess I can remember. I forgot. Those guys need to stay. They need you to talk about on a regular basis. You have to talk about them on a regular basis. Burna Boy, you see those posters is strategic. You need to see them on a regular basis. They need to be in front of you like this. Any deal, they jump on it. They need to see you. You need to see you on on a regular basis. But I don't say the same things of Victor. Victor, first of all, is a professional footballer. That one need to be sorted very well first, even before any other thing can follow. The Ronaldo, the Ronaldo of the world, the Messi of this world, the Mbappe of this world, you guys already made that. I want to, they are in a structured, they go in a structured country. They've made that thing already. So, even self, those things, I don't know how to put it, but let me just say it in this way. I think because, for example, now, that only got sponsored by Dettol. Maybe because I only have been using Dettol since I was in Germany, and so on. So it got it. It might not even have any financial incentive that much, but because of this is his product, Taiwo actually picked on that deal and he did it. Victor might be different. If it's not worth it, he might not want to just, take it up. Just because of the type of personality he is. And as we're talking about it will be. What about even Lookman? So I'm just saying that we can't kill this guy. I know we expect a lot from him. But all those things will keep on actually what's coming. I'm not really sure that I think it's only most betting companies that can really even afford it. Maybe he's not even into betting, and it's what he doesn't believe in. Why? Because some of his best guys, they are into betting now. Maybe P Square is a bet master. Maybe he's not doing gambling. P Square, P Square, and so on now. So you think that you don't have to look for one of these things to try and put his face there? But maybe probably against his own, maybe he does not believe in that. So sometimes too, it can be deeper than what is actually on the surface. So if Victor Osimhen works in any company now, okay, get this deal. Do you think that Victor Osimhen will not be everywhere? Maybe he's principled in this particular area.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think that let's not make assumptions, excusing assumptions for him. See,
Yeah.
Osimhen cannot endorse a sports gambling company because an active footballer, for sure.
Yeah.
But there are many other companies that he can work with. I don't want to say what I should not be saying publicly, but Osimhen is not interested in deals. Maybe I say there's a part of it that is not that serious. This summer that we're talking right now, I know someone I wanted to work with, Victor Osimhen, that Osimhen's reaction and approach to the whole thing was not good at all. He was interested. But when it came down to make it happen, he did not come across as serious at all.
Do you think he saw something there?
See, I know, like there was nothing. Osimhen just did not come across as serious, and I know this for a fact because I was in the middle of the whole thing. See, again, I think it is a case of marketability. When you compare him to some of these entertainers that do anything to stay in the news, Osimhen should not and would not be doing that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Osimhen can still be more attractive and can still position himself more to work with these kinds of people. See, our friend Olu was saying here that he sees more Iwobi ads in Nigeria than Victor Osimhen. Osimhen should have more visibility in Nigeria than Alex Iwobi, especially being someone that was from Nigeria, son of the soil, grew up there, started for us at the youth level. When we mention Ademola Lookman cannot or should not be endorsed at the stage of Osimhen as of today. Why? Ademola Lookman is just starting to try to build his reputation in Nigeria. We can see the effort, the conscious effort that Lookman is now making to connect with Nigeria. So we cannot be looking at and be judging both of them at the same level right now in terms of their presence and visibility in Nigeria. Those that watch football know who Lookman is. A lot of people that don't watch football probably don't know who Lookman is yet. So he's still trying to build that image. It's the same way Osimhen. A lot of people everybody that watches football will know who Osimhen is. And then some that don't watch football would also know who Osimhen is. But there are also some that would probably not know who Osimhen is if they just see his face. And that's why I'm saying he just needs to make more of a conscious effort. It is strategic. Yeah, I'm not asking you to go and be doing nonsense to trend. No, but it is a strategic, intentional positioning. You associate yourself with the right people in the right places. You put your image in the right places so that you are seen more, your visibility grows, your following grows, and then eventually these things come.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way you will tell me Osimhen doesn't want endorsement. Obviously, not everyone is what he will take. Even me, I don't take every single person that comes and says they want to advertise or they want to work with me. So
Mm-hmm.
Osimhen at his level should have high standards. I agree. He should
Mm-hmm.
not take chicken change.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there are things that you do for visibility. I know a Nigerian player, I won't mention a name, I won't mention who was involved in this deal. An opportunity came for a partnership. The player did not like the money too much, but he liked the visibility that was coming with it. And
Mm-hmm.
you know what this player did? He said, okay, this money is not bad now. He told the person that brokered the deal, told him to keep the money. But he took the deal because of the visibility and the opportunities that will come from it. That's a
Mm-hmm.
strategy. Sometimes not everything that you do or that you take is all about the money. It is
Mm-hmm.
about the brand that you are building
Mm-hmm.
and where you are going to get to in the future.
Mm-hmm.
See, I love Victor Osimhen so much, and I believe that Osimhen has the potential to be a superstar, both on the field and off the field. But
Mm-hmm.
the reality of this Mila is that the off the field part, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. There is a lot of work that needs to be done. And if we make excuses for him and say, oh, it's because this, because this, because this, because that,
Mm-hmm.
maybe he might not get there because he might think, okay, well, these things are fair points. A lot of the things that he's doing. Osimhen, everywhere he goes, has a photographer following him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been intentional about certain things that he's doing already.
Mm-hmm.
He cares about posting nice images on social media. He cares
Mm-hmm.
about showing us that he dresses nice, that he flies private, that he enjoys his life.
Mm-hmm.
And those things are good. But not all of those things make people to connect with you more and love you more.
Mm-hmm.
See, I do think that there is work that needs to be done. And for me, I'm just saying that when Elegebete talks about him being a superstar, I'm inclined to believe that that is more so what he's talking about. Because the biggest superstars in the world in any industry, they are popular and they also sell. Whether they sell their own things or they sell other people's things, they sell.
Yeah, but I want to ask you a question. And it's a thing I've observed very well. When Victor Osimhen is not in the Super Eagles, when they play in New York, 1/4 of the pitch is full. But when you remember that Victor Osimhen is there, go and check the crowd. So, I think that I don't, you are into branding.
Like, see, that comes down to what we're saying about Victor Osimhen is a football superstar. But the
Yeah.
superstar that we're talking about, it has to transcend football.
Okay, well, maybe
He has
you
to
have a
transcend
point.
football.
Yeah.
Because like those that know football, those that like football, you cannot tell me you are a Nigerian that watches football, you don't know who Victor Osimhen is. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot believe that. But
Yeah.
it now has to go into the big brother people, the big brother Niger people, the ones that only care about music. How tapped in are they with Victor Osimhen? How visible is he to them? How much do they look at him as a star like that? Those are the
Mm-hmm.
ones that I'm talking about. Osimhen has conquered Nigerian football, but
Mm-hmm.
he now needs to pass Nigerian football. Look at the things that Alex Iwobi is doing, for example, even in the UK. He's going beyond the football circles. He's going into the music circles. He's going into the social circles. He's going into the entertainment circles. These are the things that make you into a superstar. Because if you just, I always say this about branding. If the only thing that we care about with you is your football, the moment your football is not at a high level again, we don't care about you. What else is there for us to like about you?
Mm-hmm.
What else is there for us to like about you? Obviously, you can build your brand enough within football that you can keep making money in football, forever. But the way Victor carries himself today, it doesn't look like somebody that will go into punditry when it's done. It doesn't look like somebody that would, go and stay in the football world.
Well, you didn't expect that one from me, you.
Well, I guess you can say that. So anything is possible. You can always pivot.
Yeah.
But okay, let me quickly take some comments before we touch on another part of what Elegebete said. So Logistics Jeff says, if Fabrizio posts here, we go for Osimhen tomorrow. It will be the most liked post on his X account. Isn't that superstar enough? Yes and no. That is superstar enough in terms of football clout because he's the most talked about striker in the world as of today. What would be superstar enough is if Fabrizio posts Victor Osimhen is selling this product. How much would that product sell? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, for example, Mattel, the brand that sponsors Davido, they publish some reports and they are now, I think, number one or number two in terms of fastest selling beverages in Nigeria since they've been working with Davido. That is superstar power. That is superstar power. No matter how we want to look at it, like that is superstar power. Football is one thing, but the other things that you do outside of the football are part of what we're talking about when we're talking about this superstar. There's a reason why Hublot will pay Kylian Mbappe millions of dollars to be the face of their brand, because they know that people will buy Hublots because Kylian Mbappe is wearing a Hublot. So that's what we're talking about. TC Gogo says one of Osimhen's journalist friend wanted to get him involved in gambling. We'll talk about that in a second. We'll talk about that in a second. Let me see if there's another comment for me to highlight here. Okay, no other comments. Okay, but in that video that we watched,
sorry, let me just say, so the reason why he said no other comment is because it's not we are not commenting. We are not commenting well.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. There's no other comments that is accompanied with a super chat. So that's why I'm not highlighting the other comments. But let me highlight comment from a member of the channel. Mo says, IoT are spot on. I hope it wouldn't be too late and regret when he retires. Look at Beckham after football. And I know that sometimes when we look at these foreigners, some people will say, that's David Beckham now. But it wasn't David Beckham when he first started. It's the work that he built to grow the brand to that level, strategic business moves, and other things like that.
That one was also based on marriage.
Based on what?
The marriage. So.
It helped. It helped, no doubt about it. It helped. Every little thing that you can capitalize on helps rather. It helped. Who you associate yourself. I'm not saying Osimhen should not
join some big brother.
But see, who you associate yourself with helps. And this is the reason why sometimes when we're talking about these things, when I say, the people that our players associate with, are they really the ones? Do you get what I'm saying? Like sometimes when I say, people say, you can't tell anybody who to be friends with. I agree, I can't tell you who to be friends with. But the people that you associate yourself with, they paint your image in a certain light. It's the same way people don't take Boniface seriously because who does he hang out with? TikTokers. People don't take him seriously because of that.
Well, sorry, just one more question, Yoti. Do you think that Pella is helping the brand of Boniface? It is making to connect. So
it is a win-lose situation. Now, how much you win and how much you lose, I cannot quantify it because I don't have insights into everything. It's a win in the sense of that those TikTok people, because TikTok, there's a lot of people on TikTok, a lot, and there's money on TikTok, a lot as well. So those TikTok people is helping him to connect more with them. But for a footballer playing in Bayer Leverkusen, the kind of brand that he should be building, is Pella the kind of TikToker that he should be associating himself with? I don't necessarily think so. How much is he gaining from Pella as a brand? I don't necessarily think is a lot. If he's saying that he's going to associate himself with what's that this boy's name? That Kabilame or Kabilame, that most popular. That's a different level of TikTok. Those people have transcended just jokes on TikTok. They've worked with brands, top companies, been in movies. If that's who you associate yourself with, of course. Nobody can doubt it about you. Like, but it's left, there's levels to this thing. Let me see. Okay. So let us also talk about something that Elegebete mentioned that a lot of people are not happy about. In terms of Shearer has left him. This one has left him. He throws people under the bus. He does this, he does that. It's been like, what's your take on all that? On Osimhen uses and dumps people, quote unquote.
Sometimes you outgrow people. That's it. Sometimes the level of success, some people cannot handle it. I can tell you. See, some people don't know. This is like a true life story. When you have a friend that you maybe probably grew up together and your success is now slightly worse, more than what they expect, you can expect frictions in between. Then other people will move on. There's this adage in my language that the 20 friends cannot play for 20 years. Yes, that is it. So, for example, now, do we know what happened between him and Omar Katuba? I know that you are privy to some of the information, but I cannot come here and say it here. So Osimhen is not someone that will kiss and tell. Sorry to using that phrase. So he would not say you just show the DM of one person and say, okay, this is it. To me, we saw a person that was abusing him, at the VDM of Nigerian football. The VDM of Nigerian football that was abusing him, saying he's stupid. It was because he didn't say yes to some of the things the guy showed us something to do. So some things can happen. So, no be the boy I know, hey, the boy don't betray me. So all these things, everybody just wants to leak, but I just believe that Victor should handle these things better. Because all these guys, they are so bitter. I saw the assembly that came to that fish life. If you see how bitter, in fact, I would say they are not even saying this. The way that lady was talking to his younger brother, I was surprised. So there's something that actually what happened that you have to just move on. So because we talk move on from we should go and negotiate with Chelsea and me this thing. So we have to just look at it in different angle. Don't just throw the boy under the bus. Maybe the boy don't see people working with him too again now. So in my own opinion, I just think that you cannot keep the same friend for 50 years. I know that it's possible sometimes if they add value to you, but friendship is about give and take. You cannot be my friend and not add value to me, and you expect me to be carrying your load for my life. It's not possible. You must offer something that if this guy is not here, I might not be able to get this thing. You must offer that. You cannot be a parasite. Sorry to say, one of the so-called his friend, I don't want to mention the country. He chop finish. He can't talk, say one. I don't want to say the story, but let me just put it that way. Tell you the level of people that Victor Osimhen don't abandon. So I cannot blame him now for saying that he's not talking to some people again. Victor is a big player. He needs to move on.
This is what I would say. We were not privy to the reason why Osimhen is not relating with all of those people again. Who knows what might have happened? In terms of like agents, for example, I know that it will be better if a player can keep the same agent for a long time. But in reality, players change agents all the time for one reason or the other. Sometimes maybe your agent just cannot do what you need him to do for you anymore. Sometimes maybe you guys have a falling out and your interests don't align anymore. It's business. The person that was my first ever partner on EaglesTracker is no longer working with me again. It happens. So I understand that. The one that I will speak to it as much as I can speak to without revealing any information. When you mention all those names and you mention Omar Katuba, see, I cannot lie to you. Victor made a very good decision distancing himself from Omar Katuba. Unfortunately, I cannot say certain things, but as much as Victor helped Omar in terms of giving him clout, giving him relevance, helping him to make money by the relevance and clout that he gave him, Omar did not keep that same loyalty with Victor Osimhen. I can tell you guys here that 90% of the negative things that I know about Victor Osimhen came from Omar Akatuba. The same time that somebody is helping to put food in your on your plate, helping to put money in your pocket, you are going behind that person's back to talk negative about the person. If I tell you some of the things that Omar said about Victor, while he was close to Victor, I'm not saying after, maybe now that he might not like him or anything like that. I'm saying while he was close to Victor, some of the things that he was telling people about Victor, the way he was describing Victor to people. If you guys were Victor, you would have asked him to cut Omar off a long time ago. And if somebody sends this to Omar and Omar thinks I'm lying, he can come and challenge. He can come and challenge it. I have receipts. I still have receipts of even conversations that I've had with Omar about Victor and the things that he has said about Victor. And not just said to me, said to many people. So on that one, no, my expectation would be that one day Osimhen would have heard about the things that he was saying. And he would have been like, bro, how can you be saying these things about me? Whether they are true or not. If you're my person, you don't be putting these things out in public. So that part I will say. And if that can happen with one person, that can happen with multiple people. We don't know what happened with the rest of the people. So for me, I don't take that as a point because I know one of them in particular and what that person was doing. And there was no reason for Osimhen to be aligned with that person. It's just that me, I did not go and cast because it's really not. If you tell me something about Osimhen, I have nothing with Osimhen, so I'm not going to go and tell him, oh, see what this person is saying about you. But eventually, I'm sure the news would have gotten to him, and that could have been part of the reason for their falling out. But in general, we've said this before. Some of the people that he associates himself with maybe are not the best of people to be associating himself with, are not the best of people to be known to be. These are Osimhen's close confidants. For example, you call yourself a journalist. The same page that you're using to push Osimhen and give us Osimhen's breaking news is the same page that you're using to insult other players. It's the same page that you're using to talk about who has the biggest yash. It's the same page that you're using to do all sorts of crass things. When people look at that and say, this is the guy that Osimhen is giving the information to, huh, is that really the best person? Or even when we talk about maybe somebody like a VDM now, for example, a lot of people like VDM in Nigeria for the work that he does, calling out the government, standing up for people that cannot stand up for themselves. But there's also a lot of negative things that are attached to him and his name and his reputation and what he does. Is it the best person for you to be doing body to when you want to release information after you feel like your coach said some things that were wrong about you? Is that the best outlet, the best way for you to release information? Not really. So people look at things like that and say, these are people that he associating himself to. And the one that was it TC Gogo or somebody or Logistics Jeff mentioned in their previous comments. Now, Puja, let's talk about it. Everybody knows that Puja is one of the close people to Victor Osimhen. Osimhen flew him to Napoli to come and celebrate title. I don't know if it was part of people that Osimhen flew to Istanbul as well, but we know that they are close.
Yeah, it was in Istanbul.
It was in Istanbul as well. Okay. We know that they are close. Osimhen helps him, and gives him information and things like that. Now, this guy comes out and is posting gambling odds for Osimhen to remain in Galatasaray, join another European team, etc. And rightfully so. He got a lot of fire for it on social media. People were criticizing him. And unfortunately, that led to people also criticizing Victor Osimhen and the people that Osimhen hangs around and he gives his access and information to. Now, I've always said this. Puja is a very good photographer, very good photojournalist. But the way he carries himself on social media, we know that his currency is views. He doesn't use his social media page to talk football. He uses to live his life like every regular person, post about any and everything that he cares about. And when people see that kind of person is associated with Victor Osimhen, and then that person is now posting about gambling, and not just gambling in general, but gambling on Osimhen's future, it creates the wrongest image possible. Smith like is like imagine your younger brother is a footballer. You're not gonna place 100,000 bets on his next transfer. Everybody will say that he has already given you the info.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just going, essentially it's fraud. It's insider trading at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks bad on you as the brother, it looks bad on your brother as the player.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's happening with Victor Osimhen. Puja might not know where Osimhen is going because Osimhen might not even know yet where he's going. But when somebody that is known to be that close to Osimhen is coming online to post gambling on Osimhen's this thing, it paints a very, very bad image. And it looks bad on him and it looks worse on Osimhen. And I know that Osimhen could not have told him to do something like that. He was just the one that wasn't smart enough to realize not to do it. But these are the reasons why we just say that as players, be careful who you give access to. Now, people can make mistakes. Based on one mistake, doesn't mean that you should cut somebody off completely. No, I'm not saying that. But you need to speak to the people that you're around. If you are going to continue to be around me, you need to realize that you change the way you move. You do things differently. I'm the cash cow. I'm the one that is bringing in the fame, the money, and everything. you need to want to protect me.
Yeah.
You need to actively be trying to protect me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same situation. It's the same way, like for example, I work with Rashida Tajibade. I know before 90% of the world what is happening in her career and in her life.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot come out and just throw things out there unless it's stuff that she's ready to put in the public.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, if I now hit Smitlayi up looking and say Smitlayi, she's joining Chelsea, you're going to put 100,000 everything. It's the same way. Before Taiwo joined Nottingham Forest, I knew he was joining Nottingham Forest. You think I could not have carried $5,000 and go and bet on Taiwo to join Nottingham Forest and go and make 20K? But you have to be smart. These are how people get involved in all these gambling cases and things like that, whereby maybe they've given somebody just some information and ask, okay, yeah, my guy, let me tell you what is happening in my life. Oh. And then that your guy goes and does something stupid and doesn't protect you.
Mm-hmm.
So on that part, I think Osimhen just needs to be more careful, be more selective with his crowd. I know that Osimhen is a boy from the streets. He wants to associate with everybody. He doesn't want to carry himself as if he's bigger than other people.
Mm-hmm.
But he just needs to be more careful. They need to protect him because he is the one that is bringing in the money, bringing in the relevance, bringing in the fame. Similarly, this whole situation with the gambling thing that Puja posted, as well as the way people talk about Osimhen Circle, what do you think?
I think let's to add to what you discussed already because you put it up. So for me now, if I'm selling coconuts and you want to come and buy banana, I don't sell banana. But I say, the one where I get, the egg don't bad small, cause come and take it. Because no, you can't, what you cannot give, there's no, you can't, what you don't have, you can't give it. Osimhen, Poja's job. Poja is not a reporter. Have you ever seen Poja talk before? so you cannot even. I know you're not journalist. You cannot even say that you better communicate better than him. He cannot say he's reporting. He cannot say he's. What I know that he does well is to capture people, and he knows how to size the backside of this woman. Hey, this one, he knows it. That one very well. That is what he's famous for. No, this is not secret IoT. That is what a lot of people know him for. So that football when they post, now just to shock up. Is Bibi Nigeria, that's his season. Bibi Nigeria, hey, this one, that is his season. Forget about those ones. So for me, he doesn't really have enough. He's seen experience I don't think he should just throw the guy out directly. I know that the guy will be regretting it. And Victor Osimhen, the way they get angry, he's a tough guy. So for me, I think that Puja can still be in the circle, but he should make sure he delegates. Even the very dark man I'm talking about can never do such mistake. He can go and talk. Sometimes what I know about very dark man is that if there's not something, the man asks questions. But I don't think Puja asks your questions. That's why sometimes, if you are working with people like this, a rookie, I'm getting closer to Osimhen. What should I do around him? What should I not do around him? Maybe they are the one go and be talking about Bed Niger on one podcast like that. I don't know. The one, hey, that's is it husband material normally coordinate. So I'm just trying to see that when you are around footballers like that, anything like betting, you must limit your involvement because any small thing they will trace you. They will trace it. So for me, I think Puja actually was making a mistake. And secondly, talking about the people around him. You mentioned in particular, you mentioned people. We can give different examples. For example, now just about somebody that came to that feels like say, oh, if you give my husband money, or money where he work for, did he work for it? What was the money for? So you have to sometimes look at people that Victor are getting rid of. What they will do. Why do you think Victor actually was this wasn't there? Okay, I want to mention a character now for you. I've not mentioned the person's name. You go chop. You beg finish. You can't talk, say, maybe the restaurant will go collect money from one football player there. Are you not a nuisance? So that type of person, you want Victor to keep a person around him? It's not possible. It's not possible. Character is like a smoke. No matter how you cover it, it will come out. It will come out. So all these people, when they show their character, Victor will get rid of them. That is it. So it's not as if I'm here to come and defend Victor. I'm doing a very job for him. But what I'm just saying, what I'm just saying basically is that sometimes I don't like when a lot of people just throw the guy under the bus. What I'm happy about Victor is that he's doing well for Nigeria. And he should stay like that.
All right. Let's not harp on this too much, but I think we've spoken about a lot of different things. There's some things that are being done right, there's some things that are being done wrong. I just hope that everybody assesses the situation and does what is in the best interest of the player, which is Victor Osimhen. Because at the end of the day, now he matter most for this situation.